Hi, and welcome to the Be Courageous Online Summit. We're so glad that you're here to join us today. Our intention is to provide encouragement and support for everybody who is going through challenging times during this pandemic. So today we have a very special guest, Sue Decaro. Sue is a heart-centered coach, educator, motivational speaker, and writer, working with individuals, corporations, and families around the globe to navigate life's daily challenges. While integrating education, consciousness, and coaching, Sue helps individuals to feel empowered, grow, and thrive. Her passion is to help people deeply connect to themselves, to their children, and of course to the world around them, creating a brighter future. Sue serves as a guest parent specialist coach for Mind Valley University training and has had writings featured in various online publications, speaking engagements, and magazines. Welcome, Sue. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy. It's an honor to be here with you.
So here we are once again, reaching out to this amazing audience that we've got there. And I know for you, self-care is a crucial part of daily life, even before this pandemic came down. So share with us a little bit about your term of "you can't pour from an empty cup."
Thank you. Yes, I am totally a self-care advocate. And I think that's one of the things that many of us have not been taught, how to take care of ourselves or how important it is to take care of ourselves. So, the premise of not being able to pour from an empty cup is really about the energy that we have serves us in taking care of ourselves and others around us. So, for parents or people that have others in their lives and that they're caring for, it is really important to enhance our own energy first, because without that energy, how can we possibly show up as our best self? So I feel that you are the primary person needing that self-care before anything else. I always tell my clients and people I speak with and talk all over the world with that the best way you can serve in whatever way you're serving is to fill your cup, is fill your energy tank before you do anything else. So it should be at the top of our list. And it's not a selfish thing, it's a selfless thing. Because if we don't do it, then we're showing up with very little energy. Perhaps we're frustrated, maybe a short fuse. I know when I don't fill my tank, that's how I can show up. It's not good.
It's true. It's true. And having 3 kids myself, I know that if they know mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And that's
right.
That's it. But I was at Target waiting in line to get the other day waiting in line to get some paper products. And there was this woman that was standing in line behind me, and we started talking. And she was telling me that she is out running. She does 3 different trips, one for herself, one for her mother, and one for her aunt. And I just thought, oh my gosh. And so I know there's a lot of people out there that are taking care of, aside from their family, right? Neighbors, elderly, relatives, and such. And, it's about slowing down and really taking time to make sure that they are getting what they need, because there's a lot of us out there that just want to give, take care of everybody else. And we end up falling apart. And so, what are some of the ways that you can share with our viewers on self-care?
Well, I think first, what is self-care? And self-care is, in my opinion, it's about being compassionate with oneself, right? So compassion is the way to begin this process, understanding what you need, being aware of what fills you up and what brings you energy, and taking the time, that's the key element, to focus on re-energizing or recharging our own batteries. So it's really about paying attention to you. And again, many of us have not been taught the art of paying attention to you, or what compassion towards the self even looks like. I know I was never taught that, and it took me a long time to really put that into place in my own life. And I could see a real difference. But it's different for everyone what self-care looks like. So some people, they do meditation, and that works really well for them. Maybe they meditate an hour a day. And somebody else might take mindful showers, and that helps to fill their cup and bring them energy. Some read, some write poetry, some walk in nature. So there's a million different things that we could be doing that would help us fill ourselves up. But self-care is about your own personal tank and your own personal energy that comes from activities or exercises that serve you. It's not about what the Joneses do or what the Smiths do or what people tell you should do, because there are no shoulds about it. It's really about what feels right for you. So it's bringing that awareness to the self first about what fills you up, and then finding a way to bring that into your day. And I know people say to me these days, that's so hard to do because everyone's home, right? How do I carve out time when everyone's home and everyone's around me? And that's where the simple things come into play in terms of, taking a mindful shower. We all shower, right? I hope. Or at least once a week, perhaps. But whatever, your bathing techniques are right now, that is a great place to bring your senses to life. And, I share this not as a should, because if it doesn't speak to you, then move on to the next item. But it's an opportunity to do something that we do anyway. And to focus when we are taking a shower on all five senses. What the water feels like, the smell of the soap, the smell of the heat, and perhaps you're tasting the water, who knows, or the steam might touch your lips or your tongue. Engaging your senses so that you're actually coming alive in that moment in a mindful way, being connected with the present moment and what is happening for you and with you. That's the key element, because it removes you from all the stuff, the messy stuff we might have going on in our heads and the rest of the world, and brings you to just you and what you're doing in that moment. That's one of my favorite that's a great technique for me. That helps me, but it's also an easy technique that many people find useful because they are showering. So It's not like I have to carve in an extra, 10, 15 minutes. I'm already there.
Yeah, and water is so healing anyways. It's just that power of the water and visualizing white light, right? And just cleansing off all the old energy and freshening up. I know for myself, one of the things I practice for self-care is I'll just go and get in my car and go for a drive. I've got 3 kids at home, and it's just like, I need my space, and this house isn't big enough for everybody to, have that the time of being truly alone. And so I get in my car and I go for a 30-minute drive, and just, it feels so good to be by myself, and that's taking care of me. Now, one of the things that I know people get confused about is the term self-care versus selfish. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, self-care is selfless. It's selfless because I'm not big on the airplane analogy that many people use. So I use something different, and that's a car. Now, we're not all going too many places except for you. But, in the times we are taking our children here or there, running to the grocery store, doing an activity that we need to do, we cannot get there. Let's say, we have to go pick up our groceries. We can't get there without putting fuel in the car's tank, right? So when the car runs on empty, our kids don't get where they need to go in a normal, everyday world. We don't get where we need to go. And that's not going to happen. Things aren't going to happen as they need to happen because our tank is empty. Well, it's the same with us. We can't get where we need to go with an empty tank. We need to treat ourselves with the highest regard in that respect. So I think we've been taught to think that it's selfish to put yourself first. But if you have a family and you're taking care of your kids, I say it's selfish not to think of yourself first and not to put yourself on top of your list, because when you do, the experience that the rest of your family will get from you and through you is enormous, because you will feel that different energy. I know when I'm depleted, I don't have much. I'm frustrated, I'm tense, I'm short, and people know it. And they might ask, what's up with you? And well, I didn't take care of myself. That's what's up with me. But it may not be, the awareness may not kick in where I say, oh, I didn't do anything for myself today. So the more we bring attention to this in our daily lives, that this is how we serve ourselves first to serve anyone else, anyone, even in a job, right? We can't do work if we feel empty. That is where the fuel comes from. It's not from eating chocolate cake or drinking our coffee, although I do love coffee. And the caffeine helps, but it's short, right? It's short. Whereas a walk in nature, or an opportunity to take a nap or read a book or declutter something or journal or do yoga or be alone, just be alone today. These are all great opportunities to bring yourself back to you. Did that answer your question?
That did. Right. Very much so. And so, coming back to why we come first is because if we can't be there to keep it together, then everything else is going to fall apart around us.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, is there a time in your life that you can share that you really, probably maybe before you really learned self-care, right?
Yes. Before I learned self-care, I didn't even know what self-care meant. And I didn't know how to be compassionate to oneself until I really got into this line of work and, started to do more work on myself and moving through my own pain of my childhood and everything else, after that. So I think for me, I was burnt out. I was, running at both ends and working day and night, and it was really difficult and very challenging, and I had nothing to give. So I found myself with a very short fuse, and that wasn't helpful at all. And quite honestly, I think it contributed to much more stress in my life. It contributed to Hashimoto's, an autoimmune disease, from the stress and lots of other things that were going on. So I think, self-care is also wellness, because, studies have shown that it increases our emotional and physical health by taking care of ourselves and building our own resilience internally through practices that bring stress reduction, not burning the candle at both ends. So when I started to pull back and look at myself and what fuels me, I became a competitive tennis player, which is something I love and brings me a lot of internal energy as well as external. And it reduces the stress because I'm completely removed from anything in my life. I'm on the tennis court, I'm competitive, yes, but not thinking about half a dozen other things. I'm focused, I'm present, I'm there. Yeah. And so these are the things that help us to, build that energy. And so, before I realized what self-care was, I was burnt out, like many people feel, and very stressed and not in great health. So now, having done, a whole shift in my life, and including the Hashimoto's and food allergies that I have, and just really healthy way of living and eating, my self-care is enormous. And these days, not only do I do all the things that I've been doing over time, except for the competitive tennis, but I have to walk every day. I find that I won't get through my days properly for me if I don't take a walk every day. So at least 2 miles, I'm out there moving my body, avoiding everyone else that I possibly can, but staying true to my needs. And, I can tell when I don't walk, and I start to get a little, frustrated and perhaps stressed. So it's important that we see the signs in ourselves and recognize our own needs so that we can pave the way for, a happy, emotional, well-adjusted life each and every day. And I think the other thing that is really important to me for myself and in this work and working with so many people all over the world is that this is also a way to model to the other people in our lives. Now, whether it be our children, our spouses, or friends, it's modeling that we are important, and taking care of ourselves is one of the most important things we can do. So, like your children, when children see us actually taking care of ourselves, they start to learn that the self-care is an important thing, to look at how we fuel our own energy, how we build our own practice of looking after ourselves. And it's not just eating 3 meals a day. We have to move our bodies. We have to feel that sense of, physical movement, I think, in order for our brains and bodies to function properly. It's mind, body, spirit, all connected, all three.
It is. And I think just, getting that serotonin moving, right, by physical exercise or walking. And it's those are the simple things that people can start doing if they don't already. Just get out of the house and go for a 20-minute walk around the neighborhood. I mean, I know when I started, I get up and I go run/walk every morning, and it's usually between 5 and 5:30 because I love when the streets are quiet and the house is quiet, and I come back and do it. But it's if I don't do it, just like you said, it's like you just feel that. Like, to me, that is a part. My kids know, like, nothing comes in between me getting to do that. So physical activity, and obviously encouraging people to do something physically active. And there's videos to do yoga or learn how to belly dance or whatever it's going to be, just something to get that body moving and get those, that serotonin pumping. It's a natural antidepressant, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think to take it a step further, Tracy, it's great for your kids to see, and it's great for all of our children to see, but it's good to talk about it too. So, even asking our children, why do you think I go for a walk every day? Because we don't know what they're taking in, right? We don't know, depending on the age of the child, what they're actually thinking we do, right? They could think we have a secret person that we're meeting out there, to have coffee or donuts, and we don't want them to know. But of course, not today. But I think it's really important to ask them about self-care and what they see and why they think we go for a run or go for a walk in nature and what they think that might offer to us. Because it's one thing to tell our children how empowering it is to bring a self-care practice to life. And it's another one to ask them what they know already and to empower them to share that with us, and then perhaps offer some additional thoughts and ideas together as a family.
That is great. That is great. And I mean, asking questions to the kids, because we don't know how they interpret what we do with anything, right? I mean, even regarding this whole pandemic, asking questions and, getting into more dialogue with our kids who are just kind of watching the world make this massive change and not understanding what's going on and creating their own stories in their mind. And not to get into that, because I want to kind of stay focused on the self-care. So as far we discussed, physical acts, right, of self-care. And since this is, something that's true, true to your heart, how can we practice self-care from a mental viewpoint? I know the thoughts of the shoulds and the woulds and I can't or I won't or.
Well, and that's a great question. I think, first of all, it's spending time with uplifting people. And what I mean by time is connect with people who are uplifting, through Zoom or through texting or phone calls, not people who have that negative impact. We have to create a non-toxic world around us, so to speak, so that we can keep our mental energy at an all-time high or as high as we possibly can. And I know in my own life, I have had to move people outside of that concentric circle, that tight circle, that tight weave of what speaks to me, because the toxicity starts to affect. So watch the people that you spend time with, quote unquote, spend time with, and make sure that they're the people that speak your language and that have that uplifting, as opposed to negative aspects. For example, my husband, I mean, I've never not spent time with him, but he was often bringing the world discussions about the pandemic to me, reading this, reading that, reading the other. For me, that didn't help. It brought me down. And so this is another way to make sure you keep your energy around you, true to what you need. So we had to have a discussion. It was difficult for me to say, please don't share this with me. It's okay if you need to read it, and he does for himself, but I don't need to know every little detail. So, don't share, basically was the gist of it. So that's, another way. And I think the other thing is really look at how you speak to yourself. So it's the people around us, but it's also our own mental energy and how we speak with and to ourselves. The shoulds don't help. I must do this, or the self-doubt, or the conversations about, why did I eat that, or why did I do this, or any of those things can really bring us down. And it's important to reframe when you start to get into a negative spiral of, I should do this, or why did I do that, to reframe You did it because you did it, and this is a new moment, so loving ourselves and bringing that compassion to ourselves, that in each moment we're doing the very best we can shift that mental energy and that brain power, which is really important.
Well, I think now more than ever, it's so important for us to be kind and gentle to ourselves, and just be more forgiving and non-judgmental. And I always explain to people, it's like talking to a little child. Like, how would you talk to a little child that did something, or messed something up? Well, hopefully very kind and gentle, but
Right. Let's hope.
but for the most part, understanding, like, just use that communication toward yourself that you would use to a little child that may possibly not know better or did something that they shouldn't have done or whatever. And I think that's, a big part of it, especially, there's just so much uncertainty and change.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even beyond a child, so many of us serve and provide, loving kindness and compassion to others in the world and our friends and our family. We have to bring that home to ourselves. And again, this is something, I have a lot of coaching clients that have no idea how to be compassionate with themselves, but they are the most compassionate with the world around them and all the people that they're friends with. So, it's really looking at how we would treat a friend. You are just as important, if not more so, than all the friends that you have around your family members. So bringing that home is key. In the same way, right? You can talk to yourself in the same way that you would offer that support and love to a friend. So, that is absolutely crucial. And I think the other piece I wanted to touch on, Tracy, is that this pandemic can cause us to look in the future, right? It can cause our mind to go wandering to what if we don't get here? What if, the world doesn't open in June, July, August, September, right? I know my mind goes there. But one of the practices that I know to be really important for me, and I think for all of us, is to come back to this moment, because we are in a world of uncertainty, but we always are, because we never knew what tomorrow would look like. Yes, the pandemic is definitely something we've never experienced, most of us, before, anything like this, but we never lived in a world of certainty. We've always lived in a world of uncertainty where we've never known what tomorrow will look like. So every time your mind wanders to what if or what will be, come back, because we don't know. And we can make assumptions that can cause us to be very anxious and stressed. And the present moment is really where we're living, and we need to stay. And it's part of self-care, I think, is stay present. We don't live in the future and we don't live in the past. We live in this moment. This, for you and me right now, this is the only moment we have. This is the only one we know. This one.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is a fun little exercise is to stay present. Like, in the room that you're in, whatever it is, notice 5 things that you've never noticed before. And it's like, it may be the room that you've sat in for the last 10 years, but suddenly when you get present and start looking for little things, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice that. And so that's just a simple exercise that I always enjoy doing, because you're discovering new things about the space that you think that like the back of your hand. And
right.
Those are those little moments that you can bring yourself into the space that you're at to get through it.
Yeah, very important. And mindful eating too can bring you back. I do exercises like you just mentioned in workshops, and also mindful eating where, you may just take a piece of chocolate and mindfully eat it to bring you present and aware of the texture and what's in front of you. So if your mind wanders and you're constantly going to the future or the past, these 2 things are really good exercises to help you to regain that composure and presence in that moment.
And you can certainly enjoy the food so much more. I mean, it becomes so much more satisfying, doesn't it? When you're like enjoying everything, even like a mint, like those little lifesaver mints. Those are fun because they got the letters on them and you're just feeling the true sensation of all of it. So that's great information for people to utilize. I guess one other question I will ask about, if you have any other final words of encouragement to help people continue to be courageous during this time.
I think it's really a tough time. It's really a tough time for so many. I think one of the ways to be courageous is look at what you're learning about yourself during this time. I know for me, I did not know I had an introverted side because I love people. I love to be around people. And I've noticed I've read more books. I've become really comfortable. I don't know how I'm going to get back out, but I've become really comfortable just being without people around me, without connecting and talking to everyone I pass and meet and see. And that's just me. So there's a side of us that we can learn more about that we may not have had the opportunity to know even existed. So, I think when we start to look at this in, a different way and bring more positive attention to ourselves and what we might notice. What do we notice about our kids? Gosh, we have much more time to connect with them because everyone's not running. So what do you notice about yourself, your growth? How are you moving through this? What are some of the positives that you can take away from your courage and your ability to move through this each and every day? Because we've come a long way so far, right? We've already come a long way. So during that process, what has shown up for you? And I think, the second part of this is really look at your self-care. Put your phone down, put technology away and look at what serves you. Sometimes we need to close our eyes to do that, to really see what brings us joy and what helps us to feel, less overworked, less overwhelmed, and less stress. And those are important things and activities to do for ourselves.
That's great. Thank you. And I just wanted to loop back around to you with a question thing. And this is a great opportunity for us to ask not only ourselves, but the people that we surround within our household, what do you want life to look like after the world opens back up again, right? Do you want to be doing 3 children's sports activities? Do you want to be, working 60 hours a week? Do you want to, just asking those questions of ourselves and our family members, right? And taking steps once the world starts to open up to really stick to that plan of what our heart desires and how we want our life to look.
Yeah, because this can really impact us in very positive ways, for sure, if we allow it, if we look at it as an opportunity to sit and observe and to be curious.
Yes, absolutely. And you are sweet to offer a fabulous free gift to our viewers, which will be provided on the link below in the email you received. And it's your ebook on mindfulness, correct? So what does that help people understand who are not fully aware of what mindfulness may mean?
Mindfulness is present moment awareness, as simple as that. Present moment awareness, to be in the moment that you are in and be in it aware that you're there, aware that you're present. So connecting to yourself in a different way. So this ebook is a very simple way to offer you that connection and that opportunity to be more mindful in your daily life.
Perfect. So thank you for making that available. And then also, Sue is offering a 30-minute consultation for $100. Is that correct, Sue?
Yes.
Okay. And so they can access that as well in a link below. And anything else you wanted to play with that?
Well, the 30 minutes is for coaching, but if you have any kind of issues or concerns that you would like to talk with me about, I do offer a free consultation to see if coaching is right for you.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sue, for all your information and your expertise and supporting our grand audience that we've got here watching this series. And I thank you to all of our viewers for joining us. And in the meantime, be courageous. Signing off with love and light.